Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some news out of Athens, Georgia this morning as former top 50 national recruit from that 2022 class who went to Texas A&M, transferred to Georgia. He is not with the Georgia Bulldogs program anymore. And I guess the first thing I want to talk about, like my panic rating level for the Georgia Bulldogs after this, it's a 0. You can't look at this Georgia program, especially in the secondary, and be too concerned that Smoke Bouie is no longer with the program. And I've seen people make a bigger story out of it than it is on Twitter. And I'm not going to get into the details because I don't have the details and I don't want to pretend like I do. Don't know why he left the program. Not going to speculate why he left the program. Going to more talk about it from a football aspect. Take a look at the secondary because for Georgia fans, this might even be like kind of some good, not good news in terms that he left, but some of those young dogs at that cornerback spot, that could be, it could kind of tell you that maybe a guy like AJ Harris looking a lot better as a true freshman than many people would have thought. Now, before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to the Bulldog fans. It's been a blast talking Georgia football. Any chance I get to talk Georgia football, I certainly am going to do so. You guys have shown a ton of support as we've talked Georgia, cleaning up on the recruiting trail. So appreciate you guys locking in. And maybe we'll get towards the end, talk a little bit about this Georgia football team and update some recruiting news as well. But let's talk about Smoke Bouie first. And the Texas A&M class of 2022 is going to be a case study for the record books. I mean, you see Chris Marshall goes and transfers to Ole Miss, gets kicked off the team. Now you got Smoke Bouie, transfers out, goes to Georgia. He's no longer with the team. It was a little bit of a head scratcher, right? If he left Texas A&M because he wanted to find some playing time or more playing time, I don't know why Georgia was his number one pick, because you take a look at that secondary group and we can pull up this depth chart, start talking about some of the players. I absolutely loaded in the back end in terms of talent across the board. And he was getting reps at that star position, was getting reps at the cornerback position. That is a hard unit to crack, especially when you talk about guys like AJ Harris or Jonel Aguero coming in and probably being a lot better than people might have given them credit for as true freshmen. So Smoke Bouie leaving, you're going to see, this is just part of like the off season and people not knowing what to talk about. Smoke Bouie transfers out. Taking a look at this secondary, I still think you're going to be hard pressed to find a better unit in the country than the Georgia Bulldogs. Fran Brown has done a phenomenal job, not only coaching these guys up, but just grabbing so much talent in the back end. And I think it starts with the safety spot. I mean, you're looking at Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks, who that might be the best safety duo in the country. And Javon Bullard, I love what they're doing because Javon Bullard played a lot of that star position last year. I love Tyke Smith, and I feel like a lot of the national media forgot Tyke Smith existed, right? He transferred in from West Virginia, was an All-American at West Virginia. He transfers into Georgia. He gets banged up. It kind of derails his career to an extent. If he's back and healthy, I don't think you'll find many kind of box safety star kind of guys that are better than Tyke Smith. If you go back and look at him at West Virginia and what he did, he was a true baller. So a healthy Tyke Smith at that star spot, I love. You take a look at the secondary, Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks. Find me a better safety duo than those guys. And then Kamari Laster at one of the cornerback spots is a dog. And then you take a look at the other cornerback spot, and you have some questions in terms of these guys haven't played a ton, but you don't have questions about the talent, right? Dalen Everett, an absolute stud. Nyland Green and Julian Humphrey, all guys that most programs around the country would take as their starting cornerback. And you got 3 of those guys. And you ask Kirby Smart and Fran Brown, all right, find the best one for us to play. If it's a competition in camp, you probably like that. You're looking at a really good, complete secondary unit. And one of the things that you might read into a little bit more is some of those young guys, right? AJ Harris did Smoke Bouie come in thinking maybe he'd be higher on the depth chart than a true freshman like AJ Harris or Jonel Aguero, and it didn't happen. And those guys are playing exceptionally well as true freshmen. That might be another storyline to monitor as well. But in terms of the secondary, it's Smoke Bouie leaving. I don't think you can be that concerned if you're a Georgia Bulldogs fan in terms of what your secondary is going to look like heading forward. Now, there is something else I want to talk about with Georgia fans. We've been kind of talking about this a lot, and it's Justin Williams, the 5-star running back from the state of Texas. he was a heavy lean to Oregon. It sounds like Georgia is trending in the right direction for Justin Williams, who is going to be making his college decision, I think, by the end of the month. Sounds like it's Georgia and Oregon. You see all the proven commodity. And to be quite honest, I mean, take a look at the Oregon linebackers last year. Justin Flo, Noah Sewell probably did not play up to expectations. Then you take a look at the Georgia Bulldogs and their linebackers, and you take a look at guys like Smail Munden, Jamon Dumas Johnson. I mean, those guys are looking like they'll be NFL draft picks in less than 12 months. And so for Justin Williams, and then you look back at guys like Channing Tindall, Quay Walker, and Nakobe Dean, it does seem to be a little bit of a no-brainer in terms of, I mean, one winning national championships. What's your better shot at? Georgia Bulldogs getting developed into being an NFL linebacker. Oregon versus Georgia, it leans Georgia. So you take a look at some of the things that might be most important for Justin Williams and him making his college decision. I think Georgia probably has a big lead, and it just shows you, I mean, trending to Oregon for so long. Kirby Smart and that defensive staff pick up the phone, call Justin Williams up, say, hey, we want you here in Athens. Like Georgia Bulldogs swinging the biggest stick out there on the recruiting trail, looking like they might bag another 5-star linebacker in Justin Williams. That will add to what we've already seen is a tremendous class for the Georgia Bulldogs. Wanted to talk a little Smoke Bouie. Wanted to talk and give you guys some updates on Justin Williams because a lot of you guys have been talking about that. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. And again, if you do enjoy the content and you enjoy the updates, you enjoy the recruiting updates, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.